August. This meeting is called to order at 7:05. First order of business with the hybrid meeting is to take roll call. Josiah Acau. Travis Council. Present. Amber Granite. Kellyanne Kobayashi. David Laea. Here. Present. Jade Lau.
Present remotely. Present remotely.
Is present remotely. Mike Lee.
Present remotely.
Present remotely. Lavani Lipton.
Present remotely.
Present remotely. Carol Miyashiro. Present in person. Kayla Morel. Kate Ryder.
Present remotely.
Present remotely. Claudine Tomasa.
Present remotely.
Present remotely. Steve Trecker. Evan Weber. Present. Gary Weller. Present. John White. Donna Wong. Present. Jeff Zuckernick. Present, and I'm present. All right, we have a quorum with 8 members present in person and 5 members present remotely for a total of 13. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to modify the agenda to include an update from Adventist Health Castle to our local agency reports. Time of agenda publication, we weren't sure we'd have a representative. The report is usually in February and August. We do have a representative tonight. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
And I'll second, Bill.
Donna Wong and Jeff Zuckernick. Any discussion? I'll call for a vote. Are there any objections to adding Adventist Castle to our agenda tonight? No objections among members present. Any objections online? Seeing none, the motion passes. Our next order of business is election of officers to serve from July 1st to June 30th. We did not elect a secretary at the last meeting. I note that Kellyanne Kobayashi is not present. She has been serving as our secretary. Unless there are any objections, I'd like to defer this item to our next meeting. No objections present, no objections online. Item is deferred. Next order of business are announcements. An emergency preparedness fair. The Kailua Alert and Prepared and the Kailua Neighborhood Board will host an annual emergency preparedness fair on Saturday, September 7th, 2024, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. at the Kailua Town Center parking garage area, fronting Long's Pharmacy. The recent Maui wildlife disaster stressed how important it is to be prepared for the unexpected. Please come and learn about how to prepare, endure, and recover quickly from a disaster. And mahalo also to Alexander and Baldwin as a site sponsor and supporter for this event. Again, that's Saturday, September 7th. Also, the primary election is now underway. This is a civic responsibility, and all citizens are urged to vote. Ballots must be received by the Office of Elections not later than 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 10th. Are there any other announcements from board members? Online? Any announcements from the audience? Okay, we'll move on to reports from Honolulu Police Department and Honolulu Fire Department, starting with Honolulu Police Department. HPD representative.
Good evening, Board. My name is Lieutenant Drew Akagi with the Honolulu Police Department. I will be presenting the stats for the month of July 2024. Motor vehicle thefts in the Kailua area, we had 4 this month compared to 3 the previous month. Burglaries, we had 2 this month compared to 6 last month. Theft, we had 19 reported thefts compared to 27 reported thefts the month prior. Car break-ins, or UEMVs as we call it, we had 4 UEMVs this month compared to 12 the previous month. Robberies this month, we had 2 this month compared to 1 the previous month. That's the stats for the day. Any questions? I'll field any questions at this time.
Any questions for HPD tonight? From board, online? Any questions from the audience? Okay, mahalo. And I'd like to also mahalo HPD for the more comprehensive statistics that you're providing to the neighborhood board. It's really helpful to be able to compare the current month with last month, also with the same month a year ago, and also Kailua with the other windward districts. So we appreciate the effort that has gone into making the statistics more relevant.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, we move on to Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening. I'm Captain Pongilinan from the Kailua Fire Station, and I'll presenting to you the Honolulu Fire Department Neighborhood Board Report for August 2020. The statistics provided below represent confirmed number of incidents in the neighborhood board's geographical area for the previous month. Should you have any questions, please email HFD's Community Relations Office at hfdnhb@honolulu.gov. First of all, information previously requested, wildland fire preparedness. The Ready, Set, Go Hawaii Action Guide is designed to inform and empower our communities to prevent, prepare, and plan for wildland fire incidents. Contained within the guide are useful checklists to 1, eliminate fuels and create a defensible space around your home. 2, create a family disaster plan, including important contact information and medical information. And 3rd, have your emergency supply kit assembled and ready for evacuation. Visit fire.honolulu.gov to review the action guide. Okay, the following are the statistics for the month of July 2024. For fires, we had 0 structure fires, 2 wildland and brush fires, 2 nuisance fires, 0 cooking fires, and 8 activated fire alarms where there were no fire. Emergencies, there are 112 medical, 1 motor vehicle collision with a pedestrian, 3 motor vehicle crashes and collisions. We had 3 mountain rescues, 0 ocean rescues, and 0 hazardous material incidents. The fire safety tip for the month, back to school fire safety. Educating students on what they can do to stay safe during the school year is important and often overlooked. College students living away from home should take a few minutes to ensure they are living in a fire-safe environment. Don't overload outlets. Keep lamps, light fixtures, and light bulbs away from anything that can burn. Never use an extension cord with a large appliance like a refrigerator. Cook only where it is allowed. Keep the cooking area clean and free of anything that can burn. If a fire starts in a microwave, keep the door closed and unplug the unit. If a disaster happens, knowing who to call and where to meet is an important part of emergency planning for you and your family. Pick 1 main contact locally and 1 contact out of town who may be easier to reach during a disaster. Are there any questions?
Gary Weller.
Do you inspect the fire systems at the school?
Once a year, we do fire school inspections.
So
We-
you go through every school in Kailua and make sure the
That's
fire alarms work?
Well, I gotta clarify that. Our station goes to certain schools and our covers the rest of the schools. Which has like a high school and a kindergarten.
And are there reports to that? That they all work or don't work, or they need repairs, or where would I find that data?
You could actually email our the HFD, NHB, honolulu.gov, and they can get the information for you.
Because recently I've heard that some of the systems in the schools haven't worked in years. I'm very concerned about that. Thank you.
Donna Wong.
What areas were the two brush fires in?
I don't have those specifics, but I can get that for you for next month.
Okay, thank you.
Other board member questions? David Laia.
Yes, thank you. I'm just kind of curious about your staffing levels. Do you feel like your staffing levels are adequate or understaffed? You just give us a sense of that.
Can't speak for the whole department, but as far as our station is concerned, we're adequately staffed.
All right, any board member questions online? Any questions for HFD from the audience? Okay, mahalo. Next order of business is a committee motion. The Kailua Neighborhood Board requests that a new geotechnical study be conducted prior to the transfer of 10 acres of public land on Kalaheo Hillside from the City and County of Honolulu to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to ensure that the hillside soil is stable enough to do earth moving and build new homes on it without causing damage to new or existing homes. The rationale of this motion is based on resident testimony and expressed concerns regarding the continuing soil slippage and instability of Kalaheo Hillside. The unstable soil causes cracks in residents' home foundations and other structural damage even decades after their homes were built in the 1950s. Soil studies have shown that Kalaheo Hillside clay soil has very high expansion potential when subjected to moisture fluctuations and are often referred to locally as adobe clays. These Kokokahi series soils tend to swell significantly when exposed to moisture and shrink when dried. Such soils are potentially capable of uplifting foundations and slabs with resulting distress to the structures that they support. In addition, these soils can settle significantly if saturated and or poorly compacted. This motion is from the Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee. Some of the testimony that was received at last month's meeting has been entered on our board meeting materials Google Drive. As chair of the committee, Donna, would you like to amplify the motion?
Well, I think the motion and the rationale speak for itself, but we have residents here who would like to speak to the motion. So can we just go to hear them, Chair?
Yes, we'll receive testimony from residents who have come to testify both in person and online first, and then we'll shift to board member discussion. So if there are any residents who would like to speak to this motion, please come to the microphone. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Mahalo.
Aloha. First of all, I live on Kalaheo Hillside, and a number of my neighbors are here with me tonight. First of all, I want to thank all of you very much for listening to our testimony and our concerns about this proposal on the hillside. It is very concerning. A lot of us have had damage to our homes over the years because of the soil. Recently, we did soil property damage surveys. A lot of them were done up in the 600 block, which is right next to the 10-acre lot that the city wants to give to DHHL. And the damage to the homes and the cost to people is just overwhelming. But I think your motion is wonderful. We really appreciate you listening to our testimony last month, both the Donna's committee and the full council. One thing I'd like to ask, if you can add something to this motion, would be that we require DHHL to do a property damage survey of the 600 block right next to the lot prior to construction, so that we know they get the right information. I'm not going to just give this to them. I want them to do it themselves. And then if they do, if the construction goes through, I would like them to do another survey so we can see what the damages may have happened because of disturbing the soil. And if that comes to be, I want them to be held liable for that damage. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. If you could give the proposed wording that you'd like to have considered to, say, Donna Wong, she can think about it. Mahalo. Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening, Chair, board members. David Pound, again, 21-year resident, Kalaheo Hillside. I first want to express my sincere appreciation for the committee listening to the citizens, because I think that's a very important thing that is kind of lost in our governmental process, is that when people testify, when they put things written online and they're not acknowledged, and they're not seen, and they're not even spoken of, it's pretty disappointing, at least in a representative democracy or a representative republic that we live in. The citizens have to speak. We have spoken to our representatives and we appreciate that sincerely. But I must say that I think the communities that express concerns over the potential impacts have not been fully recognized. And I think at least this board has, and again, we are very appreciative of that. But this poses significant risk to our homes. These are our life savings that are put into these homes. And when we look at the soil, when you look at 72 years plus history of what the soil will do when you start scraping it, when you take away any little bit of the root system that is there, you're putting impact on the current residents. As I said 2 board meetings ago, in the last board meeting, and in the city council meeting or the committee meeting that was there, when we're looking to do good, we have to be careful that we're not doing harm to the residents and the constituents that are there present on the hillside. Again, I just want to say that to reemphasize the point off there. I agree with Judy in this case. I think we need to look seriously at why we are ordering basically the conveyance resolution without looking at a soil survey first. If the land is acceptable based upon the survey and the city has expressed it has funds to have DHHL do that, then by all means, let's do that. And let's look at, before we start doing this, before we start conveying land and giving it away, then let's make sure that you're doing it and you fully know, and DHHL fully knows what they're going to get into on theirs. We all live it. So I want to express that as well. And again, I think that kind of protective language needs to go into the final resolution coming out of the city council or out of the P&E committee. And I thank the chair and the board for your time. Again, thank you for considering our concerns. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Pat Caldwell. I'm a resident, 31 years on Eliana Street. First off, 100% behind the idea of Hawaiian homelands to allow the Hawaiians to build some homes. But this location is problematic due to the physical environment. I spent my career with NOAA. I know my background is meteorology, and just through my own observation and my backyard rain gauge, when we do get these wet spells like we did this past May 10th through 19th, there's a Kona low type upper level pattern. And those kind of things, they lock in for days. You get a lot of rain day after day after day, the soil gets saturated. And when you get on top of all that, suddenly a major downpour, you get episodic levels of volume of water coming down that hill. Anyone who's seen the pictures of Hilo after the tsunami can see what the power of moving water can do with those parking meters are completely bent over. So the power of moving water is very, very dangerous. So once you start altering the terrain up there for placing houses, somebody somewhere downstream is going to see a difference in what they have now versus the future. And will that person suddenly see massive inundations? Who's going to be the receiving end of the lawsuits when that sort of thing takes place? So it's a huge concern is the episodic rainfall that occurs 5 to 10 year intervals that can cause major home damage downstream. That's my main concern. Thank you.
Sir, the motion is proposing a soil survey, a specific soil survey before the conveyance. Would that address your concern?
Well, most definitely, any physical environmental measurements and assessments should be performed. And yes, the soil issue has already been well established. We know that it's the Batman houses. You walk into some of the houses and the doors are at askew. This neighborhood's already famous for that. I don't know what dynamiting up there is going to shake things around and what's going to happen down the homes below when they start doing all that massive movement of land, of earth. But you better believe that there'll be consequences when they start doing some major development up there because the land is connected. But as I mentioned, it is imperative to give the Hawaiian homelands folks a place, but not that location. It's problematic.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ryan Agee. I'm a resident of the 600 block of Ileana. In fact, I live up against the hillside. And so first of all, I want to give you my appreciation for taking the time to listen and bring up this motion. I also appreciate all of our neighbors that have joined. This is a concerning issue, and certainly the DHHL mission is one that is good. My concern is for those future residents, as well as what's already been said about our current residents. We also need to look to the future to make sure that those future residents are not stuck with the liability of poor construction because of bad surveys or just a poor environment. So as we look to the concerns currently experienced by all of the residents, we need to project that there's probably going to be a lot of issues that future residents will also have to address. And I just think that we would be responsible and not negligent in offloading that liability on our future neighbors. As for present, I know that my own situation, as well as many of my other neighbors, we faced tens of thousands of dollars in repairs that are a result of shifting soil. We've recently purchased our home and moved in 2021, and immediately faced about $70,000 in repair. Fallen or sunken soil has interfered with the foundation, with the sewer pipes. It's causing a collapse in our wall, our retaining wall in the backyard, where the hill is literally just collapsing down into our home. So these are not dramatic. I think we have plenty of pictures and plenty of testimony, if asked further, that this is real damage that's being dealt with by the current residents. And we can only imagine that there's going to be more damage to our homes. And therefore, we're concerned about the liability. Who will pay for that? Who will take care of us? Thank you for your time.
Mahalo.
Hi, good evening. I'm actually going to be reading my testimony, if that's all right. My name is Barbara German. My husband and I have been homeowners on Kailua, the hillside, for 31 years. I'm not against the Hawaiian homelands development on the hillside at all. It's just I think that we need to do the proper research before building or development actually goes through. I want to thank the board for actually recommending the completion of the soil studies before the campaign's decision by the committee or the full council. Like the majority of residents in our neighborhood, we have a list of issues that we've had to repair over the years due to instability of the soil. From major plumbing issues, when a pipe cracked and leaked in the slab due to the ground movement, cracked walls, doors that no longer close properly, fences that list, uneven floors due to settling, tile that cracked and needed to be replaced due to slab movement, replacing the sewer line from the house to the street when that too cracked. I could go on and on. Some of these issues happened years ago, and some recently as the past few months. I'm just going to give some history because I have been coming to the neighborhood board meetings for some years. And in 2015, Caldwell was the mayor, and the city administration proposed the sale of the city-owned 10-acre Kailua Hills State parcel adjacent to the high school. The administration concluded after review that the parcel was surplus and should be disposed of. At that time, the parcel was zoned for residential use. Mikaika Anderson was the District 3 council member at that time. He sent out a survey to 600 people in the area, to property owners that would be directly or indirectly affected by any changes to the property. The results were listed in his May 2016 newsletter, which is available on the web, but that soon became a moot point when the soil testing was done in that area and the report indicated the soil condition was not conducive to building or development. The hillside was unstable. The proposal was dropped. Fast forward to today. What has changed that now makes the development of this property feasible? It would seem that the enormous cost of stabilizing the hillside for development would end the likelihood of affordable housing. If the conveyance does go through and development occurs, the new DHHL homeowners will need to have access to a large amount of cash that most likely will be needed for repair to their properties and homes. This is the sad reality. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Hello. Thank you this evening for allowing us to share our personal concerns to you tonight. And I understand the motion that you are going to make, and I hope that that goes through. My name is Ainsley Muscoviak, and I have been a resident homeowner on Kailua Hillside for over 20 years. I currently live in the 400 block of Ilimano Street. I've been there for 20 years. I understand tonight that we'd like to only focus on the soil, so I wanted to share my personal experience and concerns. So after I purchased the home in 2004, I have experienced significant structural issues caused by the hill slippage and the inhospitable clay soil. The shifting and the instability of the soils over the 20-year period has caused severe cracks in my slab because it's a slab foundation, to the point that I have sloping floors. I have cracks in my structural concrete walls, which opened up 3/4-inch gaps from the wall up to the windows. And this has also caused interior drywall cracks, which I have had to consistently fix nearly every year. Lastly, the sloping of a quarter of my home I received a cost estimate for jacking up that side of the slab for over $40,000. So I feel it's imperative that we look to the future, just like I believe Pat said, and seriously address the concerns for those future homeowners, because I really suspect that they won't necessarily have availability to make physical and structural changes and fixes to their homes in the future. And as Barbara mentioned, back in 2017, the studies did not support building in the area that we are currently looking at. And so, I really believe the main issue here is we're trying to potentially, or not you, but trying to potentially push through this transfer and conveyance ahead of the geographic and the soil sample study. So I really think it's inappropriate for that to be done, and I appreciate your support and listening to us. So thank you.
Mahalo.
Hi, the neighborhood board. My name is Shelly Miyamoto. I live at the 600 block of Indiana Street. I really appreciate your support for the soil study. Oh, sorry. I really appreciate your support for the soil study because as residents, it is a pretty steep hillside. I'm thinking like St. Louis Heights degree. And if you're proposing a large scale development without any type of soil studies, I think anybody would be a little alarmed, especially if like my home and my neighbors' homes, we all have walls that are sloping toward our homes, and we have cracks in our foundation. So we have like home inspection reports. Like I have newer retaining walls, but they're already cracking and having spacing between them. So it's not a coincidence. All of us are having very same issues on the same block, and we just appreciate you guys' support because the process wasn't really explained to us, like what needs to be done. When we went to watch the city council meeting, it was kind of like explained that the steps were, this had to be done first before any type of studies. So that's why I think we're kind of confused. So we appreciate that if we can get some information. And, we're all here today because we want to make sure that these 10 acres of vacant land is being correctly and truthfully portrayed. That it's not just a vacant piece of land that nobody was using. There's actually a valid reason. There's a lot of homes that could be affected and surrounding homes. And that hopefully like going to this resolution can all come together and have a Pono resolution. Thank you for your time.
Mahalo. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Wendy Amoro. I'm a resident on the 600 block of Indiana Street. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for hearing all of us tonight. My neighbor is Jim Hancock. He had spoken here before. He's a geologist. Unfortunately, Jim is unable to make it here today, but he did give me a sample of these. I guess you could say it seems like rocks. And he pulled this off of this hillside. So I just wanted you guys to kind of take a look at it. It seems really solid and really hard, and it might be like it seems like it would be good for a foundation for a home. But if you take this kind of rock, I guess, and you put it in water, it'll just kind of dissolve. So you can kind of see that when it's dry, it'll be solid, but once it's exposed to water, it'll pretty much just be sliding against each other. You can kind of see the problems with how it can cause erosion. And I'm a civil engineer, so I'm aware that there's methods that you can use to help stabilize the soil or provide foundation help for unstable soils, but a lot of these methods are they can get very expensive. And you also have to consider that you're not just trying to provide foundations for the homes. There's everything in the property, just so you don't want differential settlement. You don't want the soil under the home to be okay, but your driveway, your retaining walls, you don't want to have problems there. So you really need to kind of make improvements over the entire property. And like I said, this could be very expensive. So I think doing a geotechnical study and report before you even, are going to try and convey the land, I think that really needs to be done ahead of time, just so that everybody is aware of issues or, construction costs. That, you don't want to be passing that on to the future residents. So is it okay if I don't know if I can leave this with you guys. Yeah, if you guys want to check it out. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Good evening. My name is Chris Evans. My wife and I both
have a house on Kalaheo Hillside in the 400 block of Ilimano Street. We've owned it for 25 years. I do have a background in science. I taught at HPU for 25 years in marine science. I also teach physical geography. When we bought the house, we knew about Kalaheo Hillside having this reputation of unstable land. And we thought, oh, it's been here for, 40 years plus, and, everything should have settled out. Well, that's not the case. In this area, the land changes every year from when it's wet, when it's dry, the clay shrinks when it's dry and expands when it's wet. Nothing stays plumb straight up and down. Nothing is level. And you can live with a lot of that, but it's very expensive to repair. We just spent about $200,000 making repairs to our house. That included foundation work, which was around $125,000. And that didn't even include what they recommended. That was about half of what they recommended to do. But, we wanted to protect our house, and I just got tired of fixing everything every year, because it moves. There's cracks in the walls and the corners. Every year they come back, no matter what you do. You can cosmetically fix things, but you can't fix things permanently. And even under the house, if you stabilize, which we ended up putting in clay stabilizer, you still have all your other things in the property that people mentioned, like fences and walls. And I mean, literally my walls are like this. I have a 6-foot rock wall that's ready to fall over, and there's not much you can do about that. So I'm actually very much against developing this property. We're also, I think, very afraid of once the city gives the land away, that Hawaiian Homelands, which we're all for Hawaiian Homelands having good property or good places to build, but this is just not the place. They probably shouldn't have built on Kalaheo Hillside to begin with. It's a wonderful neighborhood, but most, if not all, the houses have problems, and it doesn't go away. Like I said, we just spent close to $200,000 repairing it, and I'm just crossing my fingers that stabilizes the house enough that I'm not making repairs all the time. But things will continue to move, and they already have moved. I've already seen movement since then. So I think the soil study is a very good idea. As a scientist, I know sometimes these studies may not get to the overall problem. It may be too technical to really, see the light of what everybody's talking about, the expense of not only building, but maintaining. You can build on anything. And even we put in 15 micropiles going down to what is considered bedrock. And I can tell you that bedrock it's what they call saprolite. And I have pieces of it in my yard that I can take a rock and break it with my hands. So it's not good, solid lava rock. It's old, eroded lava rock that even at the bedrock level is not great for building on. Thanks for your time. Mahalo.
Hello, it's Karen Hansen. I live on the 600 block of Iliaina. I've been there since 2015, and I've had to spend a considerable amount of money. First of all, my savings just on the down payment to be able to own a home in Hawaii while I was stationed here in the military. And then anything that I've been able to scrape together since then on repairs. When I first bought the house, I was told, after, of course, I bought the house, I was told that my backyard and the trees that we had on the back were moving down slope 2 inches per year, and that I needed to put in a retaining wall. So I paid $45,000 for a retaining wall that now no longer exists, because last year there was a landslide underneath my retaining wall on the downslope. And days after the landslide, the wall also disintegrated. And so after $45,000 for a wall that no longer exists, I then had to pay $6,000 for a forensic report to find out why this happened. Then there was another $15,000 just to stabilize the hill to keep my neighbors downslope safe. That was my biggest concern after they told me that my house is probably not going anywhere right now. I still wanted to protect my neighbors who live on Mokapu because it had affected 2 of their houses downslope for me.
Then there was another $5,000 for somebody who knows what they're doing to overlook the whole thing because I'm not an engineer or a construction person. Then there was a $10,000 soils report, which I did bring with me tonight. I will not give copies without the engineer's approval, but you're welcome to look at it. And it does show the picture of the landslide. And all you have to do is drive down Makapu and look up and you can see the safety orange stuff that I now have to replace because it's been up there for a year. And all the stuff that we put on the side of the hill to try to stabilize the yard. Then there was another $6,000. Well, this report here was $10,000. And there was another $6,000 for the engineers for a plan to fix it. And it's still not even fixed. So I'm $87,000 in and loans. And I still haven't even fixed the landslide. And there is no wall and there is no plan yet to make it safe for our 3 properties. This is not as heartbreaking to me as it would be for somebody who doesn't have an Army pension and somebody who doesn't have savings. And so I feel really bad about this conveyance. Thank you very much.
Very sorry for your misfortune. Mahalo.
Hello, Winola. Okay. Yeah, I feel absolutely bad for that woman. My name is Kelsey Kailua, and I'm coming to this. I don't live in the Color Hills hillside, but I helped build a house there, right, on Iliaina. And I actually did not buy a house on Iliaina because I knew the soil was bad. And I'm sorry for all the people that did buy one, but I did it because I built that house and I knew the soil was bad and the homeowner knew. You could see the cracks in his foundation. So, and I came because my last name is Hawaiian. I am not on the list, but I can buy in. I'm about 37% Hawaiian. So when I found out about these lands, I was deployed on my final deployment in the Navy. I found out about it. I was in Italy and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can maybe get some land in the area that I grew up. And I'm like, not on that hillside. I don't want the land on the hillside. So I just came because I know my last name is Hawaiian. I appreciate you guys all listening to this. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Devin Latimer. I've been here since 1993. I moved over to Iliaina around 2012. The landscape is moving. The land is moving. You have to actually walk the property to actually see it move. Land is moving, it's shifting as we speak. I have cracks in my foundation. My neighbors have cracked in their foundation as well. I recommend that before, not just only doing a soil study, but doing the EPA study, environmental study, environmental assessment also, because it's going to have first, second, and third order of effects to the other properties, the other residents. And so I think it's very important to do our due diligence prior to building any homes and doing assessments. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Aloha kako. My name is Sarah Eisen. I live at 639 Iliaina Street. I'm the first house Makai of the right-of-way that will become a street. I just want to say thank you for your resolution. We really appreciate your support. I'm speaking about myself and for myself out of my heart. I'm too old to stand on ceremony. I don't believe the concerns of our community have been taken seriously in this resolution. We need protection and so do potential homeowners. So completely support the resolution to do the study and to also be sure that the soil uphill of my house is suitable for new people to live there so they won't have all the kilikia that you can hear my neighbors talking about. So please help us, support us, because we're not getting support from the person that I think should give us support. Thank you very, very much.
Mahalo. This has been incredibly informative and pretty amazing that everyone stuck to the 3-minute timeline. So thank you so very much for painting the picture. Is there any resident testimony online? Okay, we'll move on to board member discussion of the motion. Before we begin, I'd like to just ask for if anyone would entertain a technical amendment. I think there was a typographical error in what was published. It says without causing damage to existing homes, and I think the intent was causing damage to new or existing homes. Okay, we'll move on.
So since this is a committee motion and it takes 3 members from PCNE to make a motion, how do we go about incorporating this amendment?
Well, we're in a regular meeting now, so any amendment would be proposed by an individual board member. And then if seconded by a board member, then there would be board discussion on the amendment.
And incorporated in the same motion
Yes, this would be an amendment.
as a second paragraph, right?
Right, the committee has put forward the motion. Any amendment would go through in regular order.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Claudine. I have a question.
Claudine Tomasa.
I'm questioning Donna's statement about the amendment. Is this the amendment that Judy Mick had proposed in regard to liability should damage occur? Or are you discussing a different amendment?
There's no amendment that's been proposed. Judy Mick provided a suggestion for an amendment that I think Donna Wong has. And Donna or anybody could propose something that's been suggested. It's up to the member.
I'm trying to combine 2 thoughts, same thoughts, but 2 different wordings. So I read Judy's motion and I wrote down to protect existing homes, the city and county of Honolulu and Department of Hawaiian Homelands, a survey assessing existing conditions of all homes on Kalaheo Hillside must be conducted by either the city and county or DHHL prior to any construction by DHHL and approved prior to any construction. Does that meet what you say? Survey of prior, next to.
We want this in conjunction with the soil study. We want this damage survey done along with the soil study that DHL is supposed to be doing. What? Well, that's what I just gave Donna.
Okay, so I think what Donna Wong read would be a proposed amendment to add additional sentences after the existing motion's sentence ends. Is that correct?
Pretty much says the same thing. I'm saying assess existing conditions of homes. And you're saying property damage.
Yes, I have the property damage surveys that we just did.
Right.
Okay, so I want DHHL to do it. or before it's conveyed. And I was specifically looking at the homes that actually abut the 10-acre lot. I don't know that we can ask them to do the entire hillside. That's 500 houses.
Okay,
But
so I'm going to recommend that you move on and we'll come back to this. And so Judy and I can discuss this motion.
Sure, yeah,
Okay,
we're open for board member discussion. You can take some additional time to work out a proposed amendment. Is there other board discussion? Online?
This is Jade.
Jade Lau.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank all of the homeowners for coming out and sharing their mana'o. It is really important that we remember this is not a NIMBY situation. We are trying to protect future homeowners from known problems. So I just wanted to thank them all for giving their time and coming out and speaking tonight. I look forward to the final motion we're going to put forward. Aloha.
Kellyanne Kobayashi. Go ahead, Kellyanne. Okay, Kellyanne Kobayashi's microphone has an issue. If you'd like to relay something in chat, we can then read that. Are there any other board member comments? Gary Weller.
Can we have any of the guests that have pictures share them with us? Because some of them are very impactful. They brought them tonight.
Yeah, I think there were vivid verbal descriptions, but sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if there's no other board member discussion at this point, I will recess for a couple of minutes and we can look over pictures at that point. David Laya, you have a comment?
Yeah, I have a quick question actually for Esther. I think in your from the Civil Beat article I read that you said that there's $20 million set aside within the city budget to support this transaction. And I'm wondering if you could share with us your understanding of that whole city budget, the $20 million, and why would it be important for this community to spend the money and city taxpayer dollars?
Thank you for the question. The $20 million was for infrastructure for Hawaiian Homelands. It's the first commitment that the city and county of Honolulu has ever done in its history. It wasn't specifically for this parcel. We wanted to work with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to determine that. Having said that, first of all, as you heard this evening, so thank you to the community for being here. There are a lot of concerns and all of that has to be addressed. But just hypothetically, say if the project was to move forward, even with the project moving forward, I don't believe there's ample time in this budgetary cycle to spend that money down because it expires at the ending of June. And so we would have to use other funds. But I think for our part, we felt that we wanted to support Hawaiian Homelands and tell the state of Hawaii that while it is their primary obligation, that the city stands ready to help with regard to helping the Hawaiian Homelands program. So it wasn't specifically targeted for Kalaheo Hillside. And,
Okay.
and of course, if the money is not available in the future, we would probably, because we do want to pledge, so we're probably going to put it in the budget again.
Okay, Kate Ryder.
Hi,
Hi, yes, my question is similar to what Kellyanne put in the chat is I hear and sympathize with all the neighbors. I have a friend who lives on that hillside and I've seen the damage. However, I don't want to say this unsympathetically, but those homes are livable with significant financial investment, it sounds like. I guess I'm just a little concerned about our particular motion and whether it is trying to protect. I'm kind of hearing two different things and it's kind of confusing me. There's one kind of line of discussion where it's saying that we're trying to protect current homeowners and make sure that any sort of development above them doesn't impact their current properties, which I hope should be a standard part of any sort of building permitting event. And so I'm not quite sure why we necessarily need to weigh in on that. And then the other concern seems to be about the homeowners themselves and not getting them into a situation where they are on unstable ground that's very expensive to maintain. And I just do not feel comfortable as someone who isn't Hawaiian of making that decision for them. I really appreciate the Hawaiian speaker who did come up and share his story where he said he would not feel comfortable living in that land, knowing what he knows. And I guess, yeah, I'm just trying to also understand whether the people that are currently living in their homes bought with the awareness that this is unstable and does require extensive maintenance. Yeah, sorry, it's a lot of I don't know if that makes any sense.
And okay, mahalo. Let's see if we can get Kellyanne Kobayashi's chat comment. Okay, so Kellyanne Kobayashi has microphone issues. Chat question is, I would like to know if current homeowners bought their homes knowing about these soil conditions. It seems like these conditions did not prohibit people from buying and or living in homes on the hillside. It sounds like Department of Hawaiian Homelands recipients might be fine living in the potential homes. I also read part of one of the studies sent to us that said that these issues might be mitigated by certain construction methods. I think I can try to answer the first part. Among the testimony that was provided by current homeowners, I think I heard from one person that with a scientific background that they were aware of the hillside issues, but purchased their house with that knowledge, with the thought that in the 30 years since the house had been built, that most of the issues would have resolved themselves and they would chance it going forward. But going forward, they have encountered issues. I heard from another person, I believe the person retired from the Army, that that there really was not awareness of the historical issues on the hillside at the time of the purchase, and that she has endured $80,000 worth of issues without advance knowledge, and currently does not have a retaining wall because it went away, and has further commitments that are going to have to be made. And then I recall from a third person that with a Hawaiian background and familiarity with the hillside, that They're familiar with the houses that are on the hillside, specifically chose not to purchase a house on the Kalaheo hillside because of those issues, and was initially excited with the city council resolution, but because it might be an opportunity to live in Kailua, but then concluded that would not want to live on Kalaheo hillside. So I think we kind of heard from three different angles on this, and those are the testimonies that come to mind immediately. Is there anyone who would like to just take a quick moment to expand upon that if that doesn't cover the question? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, again, David Pound. Sir, I think everybody would tell you, yes, they're going into a place, and what I want to counter is you see it from the moment that you come into the home, and okay, there is a potential for that. What we're asking for is recognize 72 years. You go back to the 52 study, it was clear. All of us moving in there that either came into the home, you look at, okay, yeah, are there issues? There are issues with almost any house in Hawaii. I mean, a homeowner is going to have issues. What I think has been expressed here is the extent of the continuing movement of the soils beyond anything anybody imagined possible, and the financial impact that it is having. And then our concern is that in the attempt to do good, that you're putting every one of these homeowners at risk, because we know, we live there, and I understand it, whatever land, it's land. But what we're trying to say to you is, when you scrape the grass off the hill, when you scrape that land, every one of these people are going to feel the slumping. That's exactly what the surveys have told us. And what we're not hearing from the city council, from our representative to the city council, is we've got what you want to do. How do you ensure that you're not impacting these so negatively that you put us at risk? I think I've addressed that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and I've heard from the testimony that there are concerns for what the impact might be on existing homes. But I think I've also heard a lot of the testimony about what the potential damage would be to new homes that would be built above by DHHL, and the DHHL and the homeowners under Hawaiian Homeland's programs would similarly be challenged by damage and expenses. Am I hearing that correctly? Because I think that's what a lot of the testimony addressed. Okay. Claudine Tomasa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to say that I'm Hawaiian, and I own a home on Mokapu Boulevard, which is right below Iliaina. And yes, when we bought, we were informed that this land was slip sliding away. But we went ahead and we purchased a home. We've been there for 38 years. So far, everything is stable. But once construction occurs up on that hill, when the homes next to the construction sites start slip sliding away, it's going to come down towards people like us that live on Mokapu Boulevard. So you're looking at a whole bunch of homes that's going to be affected, plus the people living in it. It's just totally unsafe to build on that land. And whoever is going to proceed and take that into effect, they should be held responsible for all the damages that will occur to all of the people that are on that block, plus people that live on Mokapu Boulevard. When they built the tunnel for the sewer treatment, we had to watch our land to make sure that the cracks didn't affect us, our driveways and so forth. And that's just to show you folks that it is totally unstable to build. So I'm Hawaiian. I'm not against Department of Homeland, Hawaiian Homeland, and I live in that area. And I am backing up the residents that are testifying tonight. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Evan Weber.
Mahalo, yeah. I was just wondering, Councilmember Kiana, if you could share your thoughts with the board on the nature of our resolution that's being considered tonight and how it relates to your efforts. And then also if there's anything else that we or the community should know about the planned due diligence process. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. If this resolution to pass, I think it's already going to be done. And so I don't think there's going to be any problem. What I appreciated actually tonight with the universe of people who have come here is other concerns. During the hearing that occurred recently, for me, mitigation costs came up. And that is, even if you could hypothetically mitigate, for me, someone raised tonight, well, what is affordable? If the mitigation costs are so astronomical, then it would make a house unaffordable. And so that's something that I made clear at the hearing to both the city as well as the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. But I have taken down some of the comments. Liability should damage occur. I would think, quite frankly, that would be against the city as opposed to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands or both. Damage survey of all of the homes in the areas, in particular those that are butting the property. So I'm going to take that back to see what their thoughts are. And I already mentioned the mitigation. The environmental assessment, sir, I did hear that. So it's probably not during their normal course of such a process, but this is not a normal course. And as a result, let me just look into that. And so just to make clear to the various processes, there is a city council process. The city council does not have the authority to transfer the land. The only authority could be with the city administration. This resolution authorizes the conveyance of the property. I have scheduled 2 hearings. So the next is on August 22nd at 9 a.m. I need to warn you that we are also entertaining the land use ordinance, agricultural use, and we are going to have a lot of people at that hearing, but please come to that. I deliberately had 2 hearings as opposed to 1 because I understand the concerns that have been raised by the community. After the city council, should it move forward to authorize it, RM Towel has been contracted by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to undertake a study because I was notified by the homeowners that they were actually on the property. I was very upset and I called them and I said, what are you doing? We haven't even started a process. I said, so you're going to cease all activities until we move forward with the city council process. And quite frankly, they can hear all of the things that have been raised. So thank you to the neighbors who have testified before, but tonight I actually got additional information because it is cumulative. And sir, in the back in the green shirt, with regard to your knowledge, and then you're telling me that you thought it would settle, all of those things are factoring into my mind. After the due diligence is done, and I didn't know this until the hearing recently, the city administration said that they're also going to do their own assessment of that due diligence effort. And the reason being, because the city is going to be liable, of course, for any errors in their ways here. So what they're going to do is they're going to take a look at what they have done and maybe based on the community's concerns, try to factor in the universe of concerns that have been raised. And that is not just the potential costs or mitigation necessary for the new homes, but also the impacts to the neighborhood. And now normally that happens anyway, because impacts on infrastructure, wastewater, infrastructure on roads, that's normally done. So that will be done. But this is an unusual situation. So they were going to have to factor in the impact on the actual structures of the house, which is, I believe, that what all of you are concerned about. So I don't know who yet, but I do know that several agencies heard. The Department of Planning and Permitting actually said that they saw what happened, and they said they would offer their own assistance with regard to an assessment. So that's something for us to digest, and for me as your council member to go and talk to them about that. And then what would happen is all of that would have to be considered on whether or not the city determined that was still in the public's interest to transfer that. So I don't want you to think that your voices are not being heard, because it has to be heard. It has to be reflected in the record. And again, I think what I felt tonight was this cumulative experiences of all of you, for many of you who have newly arrived, as well as those who have been there a long time, wishing that things would have been better, and they have not. Very compelling. And so I just wanted to explain the processes, because what happens is no transfer can occur until the city negotiates with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. And that would not just be on what is actually going on there. It would probably be on all that we've just heard tonight. Yes.
Follow-up question. Mahalo for that, Esther. That was very helpful and informative, for me at least. Follow-up question is just, our Hawaiian housing crisis is very severe, which I'm sure underlies a lot of this effort. I personally would love to see Hawaiian Homelands in Kailua. I think it would really deeply enhance our community here, and it would be a great honor to be able to house Hawaiians in a place that has so much important history for Kanaka Maoli in that way. It sounds like there is a lot of process and due diligence, as you just outlined, and if a lot of the stuff that we've heard from residents ends up being the case, that the land is not suitable, my question is there an alternative process that we could simultaneously initiate to potentially examine other land in Kailua that might be suitable for Hawaiian Homelands?
That's a really good question. I think it's going to be difficult because we don't have too much available lands here. But I do need to tell you that the process and the messaging of what occurred here has inspired private landowners. And so people have approached me to say, we have property, could you do what you're doing there at our property? And I said, why don't you go and just sell it on the market? And they said, we would prefer to retain the character of the neighborhood and to make sure that it was single family homes. And so one of the reasons why DHHL was considered, if you're not aware, is that I probably would oppose the city trying to do something there, because they would probably do multifamily housing. And I felt that to retain the character of the neighborhood in an ideal world, mind you, that would have been the best way to secure that, because the lands will be in Hawaiian Homelands in perpetuity. You would not have outside investors. I will tell you that several months ago, I did get a call from the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services. As you know, the property has been in abeyance, but everybody knows that it's $10 million. So a developer did ask for a right of entry so they could secure access and, of course, do their own due diligence. So I oppose that effort. And I said that is probably not what the neighborhood's going to want, because whatever they build, whether it be multifamily or single family, the cost of those multifamily homes would likely be very, very expensive for their return on investment for $10 million for 10 acres of land. So I have to tell you that if all is said and done and it is not suitable, then it is not suitable. But what I hope to do for the community is you would have a final report. So thank you for all who have said, all of the reports, or even on your own personal reports. If you could get the authority of to share it, because then it would be done and over with. What I would have done if it was not usable, is I would have engaged with the city to transfer the land to another agency within the city. That would be conducive for the environment there, whether it's parks or recreation or another suitable. And that didn't happen. And so my job, right, because it's still zoned R 7.5. So again, one of the potential outcomes is hopefully we'll have finality on a report that could tell the city no more. And I'm so sorry if you feel that the city has not listened to previous reports and said no more, because I was never told that it was not suitable, because I wouldn't be getting calls to give developers right of entry. So that's all I just wanted to say. And I heard each and every one of you today, and there's going to be another opportunity to be heard on August 22nd. Thank you.
All right. Mahalo, Esther. Other board member discussion. Carol Miyashiro.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So for clarification, the motion, it does not sound like the city would oppose this motion. In fact, the city would be going forward with these steps anyway.
That's correct.
Even without the motion.
That's correct.
there's
But,
no-
but we welcome it.
Okay.
We welcome it.
Thank you.
And all of the other thoughts tonight were very helpful as well, and will be constructive in our dialogue with the city administration and the Department of Homelands. Thank you.
Okay. Is there consideration of an amendment?
Yes.
Donna Wong.
Yes, I'd like to read the proposed amendment. To protect existing homeowners, the city and county and Department of Hawaiian Homelands, a survey assessing existing conditions of homes abutting Kalaheo hillside must be conducted by either the city and county or DHHL and approved prior to any construction and disseminated to the homeowners. There a second.
Okay. Do you have that in writing? Can I see
I
it?
do.
Okay. So that is a proposed amendment. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Gary Weller. All right. So this amendment would be added to the end of the current motion to protect existing homeowners, the city and county of Honolulu and Department of Hawaiian Homelands conduct a survey assessing existing conditions of homes abutting on Kalaheo hillside. And this must be conducted by either the city and county of Honolulu or Department of Hawaiian Homelands prior to any construction and approved prior to any construction. Okay. And disseminated to the homeowners. Okay, is there any discussion on this amendment? Any online discussion? Okay. Claudine Tomasa.
Just a question, Donna, in regards to the amendment to the motion. So the survey will be done and the results will be provided to the homeowners. Should construction occur and damages occur to people within that area, who's going to take responsibility? I believe Councilwoman said the city. I just want to make sure that there's going to be someone that's going to take care of those landowners that are going to be affected. And the motion doesn't mention anything.
What this board is doing is recommending that we offer as much protection from damages created by any new development as much as we can. We pretty much can't dictate what DHHL or the city and county can do or should do.
Thank you, Donna. I understand.
Okay, other discussion. Carol Miyashiro.
So this is similar to the other question in terms of the city and county's due diligence. Would they normally be doing a damage assessment? This would be something different. And would that occur after the soil assessment is done? Because if the soil assessment comes back saying it's not appropriate to, construct up there, then I would assume that this would not move forward. So just basically in what sequence would this happen?
2 times in the past, the city has proposed developing on this property, and we went through the same exercise with residents coming before this board and saying exactly what you heard tonight, how their property is slipping, how much damage continues. And one was in 2006, the other one I think was 2015 or 16. And the one in 2015, 16 was under Ike Anderson, and it just sort of died. We never got a conclusion as to why it was being stopped. But I would guess that from listening to homeowners that would live next to city-owned property, that the city was being more cautious than setting themselves up for liability.
Okay, other discussion on the amendment. Donna Wong.
Yeah. It's no secret that we need more homes, but we can't impact existing homeowners that this board represents without, I think it would be irresponsible for us not to offer what protections or what recommendations that we can. So I would urge all board members to please support this motion and support the homeowners. Keeping in mind, this is not opposition to building new homes.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, I will read the amendment and then we'll take a vote on it. The amendment is to add to the end of the existing verbiage of the motion to protect existing homeowners. The city and county of Honolulu and Department of Hawaiian Homelands will conduct a survey assessing existing conditions of homes abutting Kalaheo Hillside, which must be conducted by either the city and county or Department of Hawaiian Homelands and approved and disseminated to homeowners prior to any construction. Right, that's what I said. Department of Hawaiian Homelands and approved and disseminated to homeowners prior to any construction. I think I got through all the gibberish okay. All right. So this is a vote on the amendment. Josiah Cow. Yes. Travis Council. Yes. Amber Granite. Kellyanne Kobayashi. Chat vote. Yes. David Laia. Yes. Jade Lau.
Aye.
Yes. Mike Lee.
Aye.
Yes. Lavani Lipton.
Aye.
Yes. Carol Miyashiro. Yes. Ayala Morel. Kate Ryder.
Aye.
Yes. Claudine Tomasa.
Yes.
Yes. Steve Trecker. Evan Weber. Yes. Gary Weller. I'm sorry, Gary. Yes. John White? Donna Wong? Yes. Jeff Zuckernick? Yes. Chair votes yes. The amendment passes unanimously with 15 votes. Is there any further discussion on the amended motion?
Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it.
Online? Okay, I call for the vote on the amended motion. We'll do a roll call vote. Josiah Cow? Yes. Travis Council? Yes. Amber Granite? Kellyanne Kobayashi? Yes. David Laia? Yes. Jade Lau?
Yes.
Yes. Mike Lee?
Aye.
Yes. Lavani Lipton?
Yes.
Yes. Carol Miyashiro? Yes. Kayla Morel? Kate Ryder?
Yes.
Yes. Claudine Tomasa?
Yes.
Yes. Steve Trecker? Evan Weber? Yes. Gary Weller? Yes. John White? Donna Wong? Donna Wong? Yes. Jeff Zuckernick? Yes. Chair votes yes. The amended motion passes unanimously with 15 votes. And thank you very much, Kalaheo Hillside community, for helping to enlighten us on this process. Mahalo. All right, we move on to local agency reports. Board of Water Supply, Danny Ornelas.
Hi, good evening. Here's my report from Board of Water Supply. This is Danielle Ornelas with Board of Water. For the month of July, there were 3 water main breaks. Iana Street, Humuvili, and Akele. Pipe installation was 1960, 1966, and 1973. And then this is just a repeat announcement. This Saturday at Halava Xeriscape Garden in Halava Valley, Eva Inner Road, from 9 to 3 p.m. is our on Thursday plant sale. At the plant sale, which is free to family, free parking along the street and at the city yard on Eva Inner Street. We will feature xeric plants from local vendors, the plant doctors from UH, offering free plant care advice and information. Also, educational booths, including the rain barrel program. There's free soil conditioner mulch. And Cactus and Succulent Society of Hawaii will have their award-winning plants for view and for sale. More information on this. I'm sorry, it's from 9 to 3 p.m. this Saturday. More information can be found at borderwatersupply.com. And then I had some follow-up questions from last meeting. One question regarding the roundabout entry Lanikai estimated completion date. So the comment was there hadn't been much work. So they had just finished phase 4. They will be starting phase 5 August 5th, which is Monday. Estimated to be done with phase 5 is May of 2025. And then Mr. Weller had some questions regarding the quality reports that he requested. And I was told today that there were all 300 plus of them were emailed to him. Third question regarding Aulua Road in Manawili project work. So it says, the question was, when is the work projected to be completed? And estimate again, early 2025. There was also part of the road was dug up after the road had just been paved. And they said that there was a service lateral leak, which is the line that runs from our water main to someone's property. That leak had to be repaired, and since then the paving has been redone. And then another question from us, from Levani, regarding PFAS in the water. Also lithium in our drinking water, regarding tests that Board of Water does. So the Board of Water conducts PFA tests. This is also known as the forever chemicals. We tested all of our Board of Water sources. We started doing this, it says, before it was required by the EPA. Also note PFAS can be found in food packaging, household products, personal care products, soil, electronics, and textiles and paper. We also test our water sources for lithium, and nothing has been detected. And then from Mr. Sakamoto, a question regarding if we have a drought, will the Board of Water restrict water usage? And let's see, if our water and groundwater levels get too low, the Board of Water may impose restrictions on water usage. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
All right. Mahalo. Any questions for Board of Water Supply? David Laia.
Yeah, real quick, I'm just curious about the project on Auloa Road in Monowili and if it's done or if it's just going to be left as is.
Okay, so is this regarding the dug up section of Auloa Road? That
Yes.
we,
Yes.
yeah, so, yeah, they said it was caused by a service lateral leak and that it has since been paved. Is it not paved over and
Yeah,
redone?
but the lines are all messed up. It was a brand new road. It's very uneven now and the lines are covered over with the asphalt.
Both, okay, the lines, the lane markings and such, okay.
And it's an uneven repair work that they did.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll find out for you.
Okay, mahalo. Any other questions from board members for Board of Water Supply online? Any audience questions for Board of Water Supply? Okay, we move on to Marine Corps Base, Hawaii.
Good evening, Chair, community board members. Major Jordan Fox. I know it's been a while since I've been to a Kailua board meeting, but I assure you, Christy Kalahiva's been doing a great job bringing your questions, comments, and concerns back to base so we can address them. I've got a couple quick announcements. First, RIMPAC concludes this week. So all of the allies and partners from the 26 nations that participated in the exercise, they'll be heading home over the next couple of days. They should be all off island by the end of next week. For the Nuubia ponds, the fish ponds that are out in front of the base, Rico Base Hawaii's Environmental Compliance and Protection Division, along with an organization called Engineering with Nature, has been looking at a way to increase the natural circulation of those ponds so that they're less stagnant. So it's an ongoing study, something that we're looking at. And at some point in the future, we'll look for your feedback, questions and comments on the concept of improving those fish ponds. From last month, Christy passed to me, there were a couple concerns about, or a question about the Federal Fire Department and Honolulu Fire Department working together. Was there a question about that? Okay, yeah. So there's what we call a mutual support agreement between the Federal Fire Department and the Honolulu Fire Department. What that means is in case of emergency, we automatically come together and solve whatever kind of crisis is out there. It's a mutual support thing. So they train together day to day. They come on base, we go to them. So we know how to work together, in case of emergency. I think there was a question about the fire break by Aikahi. Anybody? No? Okay. Pending any other additional questions, that's all I've got for tonight.
All right, questions for Major Fox tonight. Donna Wong.
Yes, several months ago, I read in the newsletter that the Corps was doing a study, study at the shooting range. Have the results come in from that?
You're referring to the shooting range in Eba Beach, yeah?
No, on the base, where all the movies are.
Buoys.
Yeah, you were doing that. You were doing a study.
So we did a soil sampling at our Pualoa Range Training Facility in Eba Beach.
No, okay, I guess I'll have to find it again and.
Okay, yeah, let me know. We'll look into
But
it.
you still have the shoot, you still have.
We do. We
shooting
have,
by
yeah, we have the
Crater.
we have the Ulukai Crater Range. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yep.
That's where I understand that a soil study was being conducted.
Not to my knowledge. I know we have done one at Pualoa on the leeward side.
I know the difference.
I'm not aware of one here at the crater.
Yeah, okay, I'll get the article.
Okay.
Okay, David Laya.
Yes, thank you. Curious, going back to the coconut rhinoceros beetle issue. We know that the presence of the beetle was primarily the cause of military activity, and now we are faced with this invasion of the coconut rhinoceros beetle. We've had our budget, proposed legislative budget, cut in half, and although it is an increase from prior years, and we appreciate that, we're very concerned about what the implications are of the coconut rhinoceros beetle in Oahu. And I want to know, what is the military doing to help support the effort again and the fight against the coconut rhinoceros beetle? I very much, and I posed that question previously. And so I'm going to keep coming back to you and asking that question. And I appreciate if I could get a formal response on that.
Sure. Yeah. I can't speak on behalf of the entire U.S. military. I'm not aware of who brought the coconut rhinoceros beetle here or not. So I'm from Marine Corps Base Hawaii. So I can tell you what we're doing. We've attended several of the invasive species meetings with Councilwoman Esther Kiana, some of our local legislators. Our Environmental Compliance and Protection Division has monitoring programs for both the CRB and the little fire ant. So the little fire ant mainly down by our training area in Bellows, but we are aware of the CRB. There have been no instances of it on Marine Corps Base Hawaii or any of our of the lands under our purview, like our training areas. But we're well aware of it. We monitor for any invasion, and we're willing to stand with the community to combat this species. We look forward to any other follow-on meetings.
I appreciate that you're monitoring it, but I think that the monitoring has shown all of us that the proliferation of the CRB is just widespread. And it's not about monitoring anymore. It's about doing something about reducing the spread of the beetle.
Sure.
It's going to devastate coconut trees, palm trees, ulu, taro, and the list will continue to go on as the beetle continues to multiply and devastate our community. And to have the military not really do anything to step up and help other than to monitor, it's offensive and it's negligent. And I'm gonna be the guy that's gonna keep coming back every time we have a chance, because this has been expressed by our community in a number of places. And we keep bringing it up here and nothing seems to happen. And I'm not holding you personally responsible, but we definitely want to make sure that attention and resources and something is actually being done to reduce the spread of the coconut rhinoceros beetle.
Yes, sir. That's fair.
Major, we have a presentation this evening on actions for the coconut rhinoceros beetle infestation, and if you're available to stick around for the presentation, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll take notes. Thank you.
Okay, Claudine Tomasa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a question for the major in regards to ospreys flying over Kaimalino. There's been several reports from residents from April May, June, July of ospreys flying over populated areas. And my understanding was that this should not be happening because there's been concerns about technical issues with the ospreys. And it's a public safety issue. And I am requesting that the commanding officer cease and desist this practice of having ospreys flying over any populated area in Kailua. During the year 2019, we had a terrible helicopter crash on Oniava Street. Although it was a commercial helicopter that caused this, to have ospreys that are actually technically with issues flying over populated area is far more worse. So can you please look into this?
Yes, ma'am. I wrote it down. So you said April to July. I'm sorry, I missed the location. Can you say that one more time?
Kaimalino?
Camelino.
Yes.
Camelino, it's the area abutting the south gate to the base. In our June meeting, it was a lookup. Are there any current Marine Corps air directives governing any restrictions on operations of the Osprey over populated areas or any other air directives restricting their operation? And you didn't have a representative here last month, but it's still an outstanding question.
Okay, yeah, I've got it. I know we have course rules and FAA regulations and, et cetera, but yeah, we'll look into this. Thanks for sharing.
All right, any other questions for Marine Corps Base Hawaii? I'm sorry, your issue is? Oh, okay, well, let me open it up for the audience questions for Marine Corps Base Hawaii, if you'd like to make a comment or question now.
Yeah, we can also chat offline if that works. Either way.
Okay, yeah, please exchange emails.
Okay.
All right, mahalo.
Thanks.
Next is Adventist Health Castle representative, and congratulations to Ryan Ashlock on his promotion. Ryan always breezed in and out of Kailua neighborhood board meetings by 7:30. Tonight we have Jesse Siebel, the mission and administrative executive, and you got to witness community input and action. But we're very pleased to have you provide an update tonight.
Thank you, Chairman, and the board for making time for us on the agenda tonight. As you've mentioned, President of Adventist Health Castle, Ryan Ashlock, was recently assigned 2 new hospitals in the San Luis Obispo area. He is currently having 3 with us. He's in transition right now. That search is underway for a new president, so that's the first update I'll share. The second, Castle has made the decision that the Hawaii Loa campus is not in our future as a acute care hospital on the windward side of Oahu. Since 2016, healthcare has changed dramatically. That's when we acquired the property. The organization, we are actively looking to sell or have a long-term lease for that property. Many of you might have seen the media coverage of the state of Hawaii as one of the interested parties. We can confirm that they are one of the organizations that we are talking with. Nothing has been finalized at this time. The property does have certain deed restrictions with the Castle Foundation that must be followed. Charitable purposes for IRS 501c3 guidelines would be an example of that. We have a commitment to come back to this neighborhood board and keep you updated on the progress of that land. Next update, meetings with members of the Kailua Neighborhood Board about our behavioral health program. Thank you to Carol Miyashiro and Labani Lipton for coming by, and I think 2 meetings with some of our executives and our behavioral health leadership. Topics included a tour of our VHS unit, our care delivery approach for VHS patients, And then a deep dive into the discharge process, very complicated, very critical care that's being provided. We feel like these meetings were helpful. We all walked away with a better understanding of the challenges and opportunities that exist. We believe this is an ongoing conversation and effort. And then last, I'll share, we have a new medical oncologist coming to Castle. In fact, started day one seeing patients just this last month. For those of you personally or with family and loved ones who have had the diagnosis of cancer or dealing with the possibilities of that, access to cancer treatment is very difficult, especially on Windward, Oahu. Dr. Shreve is a board certified internal medicine and specializes in hematology and oncology. And then here's his resume, University School of Medicine from Indiana, Cleveland Clinic residency, and Mayo Clinic for his fellowship. So we're very blessed to have him in our community serving our patients. Thank you.
All right, thanks for being with us tonight. Questions for Adventist Health Castle, Donna Wong?
I have two questions. The EIS for moving a hospital to the HBU campus, that lasts forever. It doesn't ever terminate. So when whoever you sell the land to, is that EIS going to go to that landowner so that that whole development would still be possible?
Good question. I couldn't answer that. I believe we've had to process that through the state. And so I believe the state, being the owner, would have opportunities to do something different, but I can come back with a definitive answer from our perspective on that.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. And second, the hospital was proposing solar over the adjacent parking lot. What's happening with that project?
So with that project, there were two solar lots, one on our hillside that has been approved in
Where the
process.
helicopter pad was?
On the helipad, yeah. We call it the hilltop now. We don't have a helipad
Right.
helicopter anymore. The north lot, which I think you're referring to, that has not been approved. So we are exploring how to get that through appropriately.
Approved by who?
The documents I saw, the north lot in our approved use is not, the north lot does not have any type of structure on it. So we would have to go and get a major modification for that.
Oh, okay, by DPP, Department of
Yes.
Planning and Permit. Okay, thank you.
All right, other questions for Castle Hospital? Gary Weller?
One of my issues originally with the solar project was that you weren't going to keep the energy. You were going to sell it off and reduce your electric bill. And for the community, I thought it was a better benefit that the hospital has a battery system and the solar would back up the electricity for the hospital if we ever had a major emergency on this side of the island where we were separated from the grid. So I don't know how I know you have a generator, but sometimes these generators only have a certain amount of days that they're good for. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the fuel supply depot only has a couple days of energy also to bring new fuel to you. So in an emergency situation, you could be without electricity for weeks, but if you had solar and solar batteries, you could charge them and keep the hospital activated. So that was one of my issues, that you weren't doing that. And that didn't seem like the best interest of the community.
I can share with you in our recent conversations, because of the fact that it wasn't approved, we have new energy partners that we're exploring options with, and batteries has come up again as a topic. Whether it's feasible or not, we'll see.
Okay, Karen Mashiro.
Yes, I would just like to say thank you to President Ashlock. He was very instrumental in us setting up the meeting that we had with the Behavioral Health Department. And we just look forward to continued communication and dialogue going forward. So thank you.
So I'll share that with him and we'll continue that communication.
All right, any other questions for Castle? Resident questions? Okay, Jesse, mahalo for joining us tonight. Next item on the agenda are resident and community concerns. If anyone has a question, comment, suggestion, complaint, please limit it to 3 minutes. Any online? Okay, we'll move on to the mayor and governor's reports. Mayor Rick Langiardi's representative. We have Jim Ireland.
Hello, Chair. Good evening, everybody. A
Aloha.
couple things. One, I didn't plan to say this, but I had the opportunity about 6 months ago to meet Dr. Shreve. Because I'm an alumnus of the Mayo Clinic, there's kind of a tight alumni network here, and because he was visiting from there to interview here, I participated in that, and I was so happy to hear that he chose Castle as his place to work, because really he could have gone anywhere in the country, and he's a really nice guy. He's settling here in Kailua, and it'll be a great addition to the Castle healthcare team in oncology. So that aside, what I plan to say is CORE, which Crisis Outreach for the Homeless, is part of my department at the city. We've been recently more aggressive in Kailua, probably not noticeable yet, but we're actively removing people from the Texaco, from the islands, different places in Kailua where people are hanging out, and getting them to the various shelters and respites that we have on Oahu and the mayor and the governor have set up. The other thing, and Castle doesn't know this yet, but we are planning a meeting with Castle as well as Queens Medical Center as the two primary hospital-based mental health providers on Oahu, to offer them assistance with discharge planning. And what's happening, and I'm just going to speak, let's say, for Castle now because it's relevant to this meeting, is the EMS or police may bring patients with mental health emergencies to Castle. Many of them are homeless, but not all. And then if they don't need to stay in the hospital, there sometimes is issues with discharge. Is going to do, because we have ambulances, is offer both Castle and Queens to take those patients from the ER, and rather than them kind of wandering out in the local community, both at Castle and Queens, we would take them to one of the designated medical respites, psychiatric stabilization centers, or shelters on Oahu, most of which are in the kind of the Iwilei downtown area, but not all of them. So we hope to kind of short circuit this street to hospital back to street cycle that we're seeing, because we know too that if people come to Castle that aren't even from this area, then they may just kind of get stuck here, and maybe they're from Waianae or from town or from even Hawaii Kai or whatever. So we hope this initiative will help get the unsheltered folks with mental illness who are not sick enough to be in the hospital to one of our, again, psychiatric stabilization centers, which are new, or medical respites, to get them the help they need. Kind of that's it for my report today, but I'm here for questions.
Yeah, Jesse Siebel, I don't know if you know Dr. Ireland, Director of Emergency Services, and this has been a topic before. When someone with mental issues is discharged from Castle, is there an attempt to reach next of kin? Is there an attempt to reach social worker if assigned? Is there an attempt to reach CORE as part of the discharge procedure? And I think this initiative, partnership between CORE and Castle, if it bears fruit, I think it will be good for all involved. We really appreciate that. And he also congratulated you on Dr. Shreve's assignment to Castle. And are there any questions for Jim Ireland? Carol Miyashiro.
Hi, Dr. Ireland. That's great news to hear that you will be a resource for the discharge issue. There is the issue of someone who's admitted and then subsequently discharged, but we also became aware that people arrive at Castle oftentimes by the police, but they do not meet criteria to be even admitted for care, and then they are discharged. So there's not a lot of time. There isn't coordination by Castle, which normally there is some effort to return folks to their home or to a shelter. And so having just folks turn left instead of right and ending up in Kailua who are mentally unstable and then create other kind of concerns and issues for the community is definitely something that we appreciate the help from CORE. Can you also clarify how often CORE comes to Kailua? I think at one point it was basically based upon kind of a complaint system. The more you complain, the more you receive the services? Or is it kind of on an ongoing basis, once a week, once a month? How often will CORE be able to come by and take you?
Number one, it's definitely on the complaint system. So squeaky wheel kind of theory. So that's definitely true. So send your stuff to Chair Hicks. If he doesn't mind, he can forward it to me or however you want to call us. The CORE hotline, you know, a lot of times it doesn't get answered right away, but we do try to respond within 24 hours. But they're also doing proactive patrols. So this past Monday, I just started in Kailua at 7 in the morning, driving around, called all the CORE team with me. We got a guy from Texaco. We got a guy from out in front of the Ford. We had the guy that's kind of been living on Castle property. And then at the last minute, he kind of changed his mind. So I think we're going to work on him because he's not ill enough to be as an involuntary hold. The other thing that we're going to have to work on is a couple of people we talked to have said, well, I don't want to go just yet. The food truck's coming. So, you know, we want to be helpful to the people in the community, but at some point, I think this servicing people in the parks and servicing people kind of by the bridge as you come into Kailua town is actually enabling people to stay in the bushes there and stay in the community. And we want to relook at that, if that's really the best way to help these folks versus just getting them somewhere where they can get kind of all the help they need. I think getting people directly discharged out of Castle Hospital and Castle ER that are homeless, and especially those who are homeless and mentally ill, are going to help a lot. But to answer your question, we're going to try to be at least a half a day a week in Kailua every week, and also responding to complaints. The other thing is, you know, the behavioral health stabilization center is just now opening in Ivalai, and that's run by the state DOH with a nonprofit. We at the city have two new medical respites, one at Leahi Hospital, where we just took over a wing of Leahi Hospital, and another one at the First Hawaiian Bank across from Ala Park. And we have hired Dr. Scott Miskovich to run that medical respite with 60 beds. 30 in the bank and 30 in the small house Kauhali's outside. So those alone have 80 new beds or 85 new beds for the two respites for the mentally ill and homeless. And then the behavioral health center, I think, is going to hold between, 20 and 40 people. And these are kind of for the folks who are too sick to go in shelter or are HONU or some other options. And then from those places, we're going to try to then graduate them to either affordable housing, skilled nursing facilities, or other appropriate kind of long-term or permanent housing with the support they need, especially if they have mental illness. But just this going to the ER and then getting discharged and hanging out kind of in the neighborhood, whether it's here or Queens, that's just not really going to fly anymore with us.
Okay, other questions? Tara Rojas.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so Tara Rojas, I would just like to comment on two things as they're related. The military and then the CRB presentation, as we know that, was brought by the military. So I just want to say mahalo, especially to the board member who said that they'll keep bringing it forward and to keep holding the military accountable, because they're pretty much by this point, experts are just going around answering the question. As you heard tonight, you mentioned, the Ewa Beach, Hu'uloa Range. And 2 years now, then we still haven't heard the results of their testing. It took them about 1.5 years to finally admit that there is an issue with the contamination and that they're going to be doing testing. And still to this day, we haven't heard that. It just keeps being avoided. And I'm here also just to support the CRB presentation and the fact that it is a serious issue and will affect more than just the coconut and all of our resources. And with this, I'll just end that in addition to the military or any organization or individual or business that will get off of the destruction of Hawaii permanently in the name or in the guise of renewable energy or in the name of defense of these islands, that it's just Teva. We live on an island. We know the Ike that supports why we need to protect our ecosystem from the Kai to our Vai, to our Aina, and our Iwi Kupuna. So mahalo nui for continuing to speak out, and that is a big community concern. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Any other questions for Jim Ireland? Okay, thank you.
Just in closing, Chair, I just want to say one thing. My best partner in the city council is our own council member, Kia Aina. Always supportive of CORE, asking us what we need, giving me tips on, where to go in Kailua. So I just want to mahalo her as well. I think she's here tonight. So mahalo, council member.
Mahalo. Okay, we still have the coconut rhinoceros beetle presentation and a motion, so we're going to have to be as expeditious as we can. Sir? Yes, use the microphone, please.
Board. Good evening, and thanks for all that you do. My name is Morley Gray. I live on Mokapu Road, just outside the back gate. For the city, Jim, quick question. You've got a major speeding concern there on the Mackay side of Mokapu Road, just outside the gate. Now, you got digital signs in both directions that haven't worked for about 2 years now. They've been broke for 2 years. They're 25. Posted as such. And so obviously those are getting ignored. Your DTS has put in what they call a gateway system that I think that's what they call it. And it doesn't begin to slow people down. And of course, on the Mauka side of Mokapu Road, they got speed tables and they work. So how come you guys just don't do it? I mean, that solves the whole problem. You don't have the enforcement, and the speeding goes on. So appreciate your concern.
Jim, if you could look into that and let us know next meeting, we'd appreciate it, because this is an ongoing issue.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, mahalo. We move on to Governor Josh Green's representative, Aaron Connor.
Good evening. I did bring Governor Green's newsletter. Just one thing to highlight. We're approaching the 1-year anniversary of the Maui wildfires on August 8th, and Governor's team will be on Maui in Lahaina for several days to support the residents there and the community there during this anniversary time. But Chair Higgs, I'll email you the PDF tomorrow morning so you can add it to the file for this evening's report.
Okay.
I'm going to save my CRB response for last, but there was, related to that, a question about the mulch for DOH. Department of Health regulates the solid waste management facilities, as mulch is not considered solid waste. DOH does not have a response to that, but DOA will talk about that later. There was another question for Department of Health about the Clean Water Branch update on the signage project. The State Attorney General's office is reviewing the memorandum of agreement with the city and county. Depending on possible revisions to the MOA, we may see approval to coordinate the installation of the signs by mid-September. So we've got some progress on that project finally, and we should hope to see something soon. I think Lavani had a question about the PFAS in the marsh areas, but I was not able to get an answer on that question for tonight's meeting. So hopefully I will have that one for next time.
All right. Is there anything from Department of Agriculture tonight?
Yes. So in addition to all of the questions that were asked of the state last month, we have the Agriculture Chair, Sharon Hurd, here this evening. She's the director of the department and the chair of the agriculture, the Board of Agriculture, and she has also brought with her her plant quarantine acting manager, Jonathan Ho. So they will answer some of the questions you folks had from this evening, as well as talk about their plans. As director is right behind me, I'm going to pass out the information they brought for you folks to look over while they're speaking. Thank you.
Excuse me, is that the end of your report?
Donna Wong.
Can you give me, we just heard from Castle that the state is purchasing the property, the HPU
That's in
property.
consideration.
Pardon?
I don't think they're confirmed purchasing it yet.
They're in
Okay,
they're in
that's what I-
discussion with
The entities
state
they're
and
talking
others.
to, yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
So you were going to reserve your response regarding the CRB issue and why Josh Green slashed the budget in half that was being proposed by the legislators about addressing the CRB and the little fire ants. And so I wanted to understand his thinking about that. And
I have a response from the governor's office.
okay, can you share that with us?
Chime in on that since it was her department. But like you mentioned, there was a line item reduction in the overall budget. And you have mentioned this evening, invasive species as a whole actually received a record level of funding. There was a cut, but the funding is to equip DOA to address complex challenges they are facing. The general fund appropriations will increase from 6.2 to 9.2 million for biosecurity initiatives. Act 231 of Session Laws of Hawaii 2024 provides an additional 10 million for targeted biosecurity initiatives for the following species. There's the CRB. There's about 2.4 million for CRB, which includes equipment, chemicals, nets, community engagement, a green waste management portion for 800,000, compost reimbursement for 400,000. There's 240,000 for brown tree stakes, 1.5 million for little fire ants, 74,000 for poke frogs, 600,000 for two-line spittle bugs, 300,000 for rose ring parakeets. I will let Chair Hurd discuss the portion about cutting the funding for the staffing, because that is really her kuleana in this issue.
Okay, we'll hear from Director Hurd then. Thank you.
Chair Hicks, just one.
We need to move along, Evan.
Thank you for the opportunity. Residents, neighborhood board, Mr. Kiana, Councilwoman. I think I'm going to do, I have the answers to the questions. Neighborhood board person, but I'm going to ask Jonathan to go first because he has some of the data that you might all be interested in before I answer the staffing question and the personnel question. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, so good evening, members of the public. My name is Jonathan Ho. I am the acting manager of the Department of Agriculture's Plant Quarantine Branch. So plant quarantine, we deal with movement of goods that are regulated. And right now we maintain the majority of our efforts, particularly for CRB, with preventing spread to neighbor islands, since we have a lot of ability to manage critical control points at the airports. And right now, I know there was a lot of talk about looking for, I guess, landscape level control of CRB. And right now, those techniques would be something like biocontrol or a biopesticide. And the department hasn't, unfortunately, identified ones that are effective against the one that the biotype that we have in Hawaii. And in most of the Pacific, CRB is controlled by a very specific virus. And the strain that we have here, which is also the same strain that's in Guam, is immune to that virus. The department has brought in some experts from Guam, New Zealand, and the Philippines, and they've identified a specific nematode that appears to be very effective or potentially effective on CRB, and we're awaiting some results from that testing with the possibility of doing some similar testing in the state of Hawaii to ensure that that nematode, if it is effective against CRP, does not affect native species. And I think, the joke is like the next mongoose, right? The department wants to make sure that if there's an introduction of a biocontrol agent or pesticide, that those introductions are not going to be affecting non-targets or or native species. We've got to be very careful for that kind of stuff. And a lot of those types of introductions take 3 to 5 years generally to ensure that they're vetted properly. Skip this. So I guess with regards to, engaging the community, we, at the end of the last fiscal year, we did do some grants for community green waste management and CRB control and eradication. And we're working on getting those contracts out to the community members. Some of them are here so that they can get their work started. And I think Chair Bird will talk about some of the existing funding in HB 2619 and the further use of some of those funds for CRB for enhancing those particular programs. For CRB control right now, it's unfortunate that a lot of the mitigation or control methods do involve chemicals. There's things like Demon Max, Mustang Max, Evergreen, which is organic, and a couple of newer ones, Triple Crown and One Guard, which appear to be pretty effective for crown treatments. Demon Max is a strictly used pesticide and cannot be used on the island of Guam. However, it can be used on the islands. And a lot of the work, I think at the community level, really revolves around managing breeding sites through mulch or green waste management, ensuring that they're not basically stockpiling it or moving it and allowing it to get infested. And ultimately, for the department, the community is the department's eyes and ears. We're not, we're very small. We're not out in the field at all times, and we rely on the community for, reporting issues. Not necessarily just CRB, LFA, Koki, anything that's unusual. And, the community can call the pest hotline 643-7278, 643-PEST, and, make a report. And, obviously we respond to, credible reports of issues as they arise. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Thanks for joining us this evening, Director Hurd.
Thank you, Chair. Sharon Hurd, Chairperson, Department of Agriculture. Thank you for having us here. Thank you to Erin for her good reporting. Erin, thank you. She recapped the Act 231 very well. I'm here to say that the $10 million that was awarded will be impactful. It is more money than we've ever had to combat invasive species. The original bill that we submitted, the portions of the bill that dealt with dealing with invasive species, we're talking CRB, green waste, compost management, LFA, coat frog, rosary parakeet, two-line spittlebug. That portion of the budget was only reduced 73%. The ask for invasives was 6.7 million. 4.9 of that, almost 5 million, was retained in the budget. So it gave us the resources to fight this, to engage the bugs. And we're buying, as Erin pointed out, equipment, drones, buying chemicals. We're offering into the community for additional projects. I want to address the staffing issue. We got through Act 231, the governor gave us 44 positions. Because of the, I'm going to say, the process to hire, it would not have been possible to hire 44 positions quickly. It takes a while. Luckily for us, those position descriptions are already in place. Inspectors, pesticide applicators, we already have the PDs as they're called. So we don't have to start from scratch. But the 44 positions, none of them were cut. None were lost. What we did to help us with the management of the 44 positions, we staggered the hiring. So we're staggering the hiring instead of 12-month period. first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. So instead of, if the position was, I'm using a 20,000 multiple, so it was a $80,000 position. If you hire in the second quarter, it's only 60,000. And then if you're in the third quarter, it's only 40,000. So that's what we did to mitigate the position budget. We ended up, in a way, it kind of helped us because it focused our hiring on these positions that are priority. And then the last question that I wanted to address was, about those positions. I can tell you that we do have a few vacancies in the plant quarantine division, but as Jonathan was reporting to me earlier, we have people that want to work for the Department of Agriculture. We have interns that we brought in that love the job so much. They are now, two of them are now full-time students. They were students, they're now full-time employees. So we don't think we'll have a difficult time filling the positions because the workforce sees the value in what we do and they're ready to join the movement. They're ready to join our team. So since I know I'm on camera, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to say, come work for the Department of Agriculture. We need you. We want you. We have a fight to fight and join our fight. So with that, I'll take questions.
Mahalo. Questions for Director Hurd. David Laya.
Yes, thank you. And kind of understand exactly what you were sharing about the staffing and everything. But one critical thing that seemed to have been omitted had to do with the technology, the investment in technology that would help us to track when and where the incidents have been occurring in real time. So we as a community can help and get and respond to provide resources and attention to the issues that are showing up. I mean, I think, I'm sure we all understand the importance of timely responding to a sighting of little fire ants growing in somebody's backyard or on the beach or something like that, that once we all know that that's a hot spot, that we could react to that and support that effort, not just rely upon the 44 people that you have on staff, but to engage our entire community to fight this invasion, both of the CRB and the little fire ants. And so that the absence of the technology that will allow us to be aware of this in real time, it seems like we're just continuing to keep staff, but we're not really solving the problem. And so I'm trying to get to the point where we're actually spending money to solve the problem, not just monitoring the problem, watching the problem, actually solving the problem. So maybe if you can share with us.
So I'm going to substitute technology for internet computer upgrades, which we were funded. I don't have the exact number for you, but we're working on a more vibrant, timely, useful website where we're creating a site where you can actually report. The community will say, hey, I have this location, I caught it. We're relying heavily on the ISCs, the CRB response team, the Oahu Invasive Species Council, the MOMISCs that are funded by the counties. So they report to us and then we will put it on our website. I will caution myself because I understand that when you say something, there should be accountability as to when you're going to do it. And I don't have that number, but I can tell you that when you ask for an LFA test kit and you test it and then you turn it back to us, you never really know what you turned in was really LFA or not. On the website, we'll give you a number, an ID number, and we will put on the website, this particular test kit was negative, this test kit was positive, and if you're positive, these are the treatments you can do for yourself or by calling us in. I do want to also say that the funding that we got, we will use wisely. We'll use PCOs, they're called pesticide operators, CPOs, certified pesticide operators. We'll engage the community. We'll say, help us solve this problem with some of the RFPs we're doing, but also we're getting funding from the feds, the counties, the different nonprofits. We are supported in other ways. Just what was it, Jonathan? Tuesday? We signed with the.
Yeah, so the department works for a federal grant with the Department of Interior for brown tree snake interdiction. And it enables us to use detector dogs and to visually inspect all flights from Guam, Saipan, Papua New Guinea, Northern and also Australia, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Staff inspects about 1,300 flights a year. With that in mind.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Hurd.
It's $375,000 that we just got to battle they're giving us dogs to look for for snakes.
Okay, we have elected official reports, a presentation, and a motion yet to go. Is there an urgent question? Gary Weller.
In a way, the city and county and the state caused this problem. You used to have two green waste facilities, one on this side of the island, one on the other side of the island. Then the city in their magnificence decided to make it a monopoly for pay-to-play guy, the big garbage collecting guy, Clyde Conashiro. And he bribed the city, and then you eliminated all the competition. So now all the green waste goes to one place. And he raised the price so high that tree trimming companies and landscape companies decided, where else could we take this stuff for free? And then they started spreading it around to farmers, homeowners, untreated. The compost wasn't processed any longer, and it spread this all over the island. There used to be a fine, tree trimming companies and landscaping companies, if they didn't take their green waste to the two green waste facilities, there was $1,000 fine. So people in the industry was really scared to deliver it to farmers or anybody else and be caught. But you folks took that whole procedure away, and that's why we have these problems today. So some thought has to be put into this again to quit spreading this stuff all over the island. And-
There is an emergency rule there. Supposed
Thank
to,
you.
But what we did at the state level is the legislature last year gave us some funding, and we gave each county $200,000 to manage their green waste. I'm hoping that the Oahu's, the Honolulu City and County use their funding. I know that they're managing their green waste. I know it has something to do with drop-off points, but I don't know the exact detail of what they're doing. So that we are helping them with that problem. And what we're doing most of all is letting the community know, if you make compost and you have green waste, do not share it. I'm sorry, you have to keep it on your own property. That's the education piece before we regulate. And we hope it's going to work.
Okay, many thanks, Director Hurd, for joining us this evening. And we move on to elected official reports. We'll have to do this as expeditiously as we can. We start with Councilmember Esther Kiaina.
Aloha and good evening. As I mentioned earlier, on August 22nd at 9 a.m., my Committee on Planning and the Economy will finally be considering agricultural uses for Bill 64, 2023. In the chat box, Jaron will insert our website specifically for this, and I've updated it, Donna. So it's honolulucitycouncil.org/Bill 64. It is more user-friendly, so I want you guys to know exactly what we're going to be considering. I anticipate, given the concerns expressed by beekeepers, livestock owners, and animal sanctuaries, that it's going to likely take 2 or 3 hearings to address their concerns. Thank you to those board members who came last night to Waimanalo for the town hall on the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management and their activities in Hawaii relating to offshore wind. It was not on a specific project, but we do know that a project has been discussed that was targeting between Molokai and Waimanalo in the Kaiwi Channel. Last night, we found out that there is going to be a formal process that will be triggered on August 22nd. It was supposed to be at the University of Hawaii, and given the fact that we had 200 people expressing concerns last night, I told them that they need to change their venue, which was a maximum 60 people. So I know it's not my job, but I have a lot of constituents who are concerned about this effort. So I'm helping them to secure a venue for 300 people. I will keep you guys abreast. Bill 44, 2024, which was introduced by myself and Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, is going to direct the transportation services to decrease the speed limit from 25 to 20 around all school zones, as well as within city parks. There will be a press conference by Kailua Elementary at 11 o'clock on Monday. And I know that Travis Council will be there to represent the board. Hawaiian Homelands Bill, we covered it extensively. Again, August 22nd at 9 a.m. I'm going to have both that as well as the agricultural use on it. If you guys have any questions, please contact me. I did make some amendments to it. And then lastly, the exceedance levels at the Kailua wastewater treatment plant. As you know, it's happening without rain, which is of concern to everyone, not just water users, but it's impacting the tourism industry as well, because everyone can't go swimming in the water. So I did conduct a site visit. So two things are going to go on. First of all, I'm still unsatisfied, even if they're saying that it's still safe, because they said that all of their baseline data around the beach says that it's negligible. So they differ with Department of Health. So what we're going to do is have a town hall where I'm shooting for August 14th. It'll be a Zoom, and I just got to confirm it. I'm going to have both parties so that they can explain to the public what is going on. I've been told that the reason they don't want to publicly disagree with the Department of Health is because of their regulator. Second, I said that even if the ultraviolet disinfection system will not be completed to the ending of 2025, I failed to understand, even if they don't know what the cause is of the exceedance levels, to explore alternative mitigation measures in the short term. And they're currently doing that. So they're going to look at what kind of, I don't know the terminology, but whatever they could do to mitigate the exceedance, the pill, not the pills, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, and that's my report.
Okay, mahalo. Any urgent questions for Esther online? Okay, mahalo. Representative Natalia Hasibertic.
Hi, everybody. I'll be really quick. Just bear with me while my lovely staffer Nadia puts my presentation on the screen. So we got notice yesterday that HECO's asking everybody to conserve electricity to prevent rolling blackouts. Next. And then we found, so basically what had happened is one of the largest power plants on island went offline because an underground pipe ruptured. Next. But due to everybody's extreme conservation efforts, we were able to reduce the load by 40%. And so even though the repairs are going to take up to 3 days, so probably we'll be in the clear by tomorrow, they're still asking everybody to reduce their loads as much as possible. So not run like dishwashers, laundry machines, air conditionings, et cetera, between the hours of 5 to 10 p.m. Those are the peak hours. And as a side note, those are the hours that it's most expensive to use electricity. So just in general, you may want to reduce your loads at that time. Next. One of the most humbling and rewarding things I've ever done is participate in Operation Save Auntie. If you guys are following my Kailua, they made a post about this and basically asked the whole community to come together to help a woman who is living in a really rough situation. And the most important thing I want to highlight from this is she might still be in her bed if her neighbors didn't come check on her. So it's really important for everybody out there. I mean, while we were going through cleaning up the mess, I realized, so many of these things are things that, my family likes to kind of collect sometimes. So Check on your grandparents, check on your neighbors, and if anybody needs any help, either dial 211, that's a resource center. They can help refer you to any resources you need, or of course, reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect you with the resources I know about. Next, I've been getting a lot of calls about homeless encampments, particularly the one that we've all seen in Aikahi. The best place to call, we talked about it already earlier, was the Honolulu Core Hotline. The phone number is right there. Next. And I didn't really get a chance to talk about it in the end of session neighborhood board meetings, but homelessness legislation was actually one of the areas that we really did a lot of good on this past year. Next. So as a member of the Majority Policy Committee, I made sure to fight for bills like the Behavioral Health Crisis Diversion Program. So like you guys were talking about earlier, how when somebody's having a mental health crisis, they're maybe screaming in the middle of the street, they kind of either get sent to jail or to the emergency room, and then they end up in our community and their problems haven't really been resolved. So we did pass a bill to create a 24-hour service center. It's not quite up and running yet, but of course I will let you know as soon as it is. And I think that that's going to make a big difference in diverting those special needs cases away from the emergency rooms next to our communities. We also created 6 new positions for mental health support services across the islands. We invested in youth mental health to prevent this from happening to future generations. And we more than doubled our base budget funding for rental assistance services. Next. And another great piece of legislation that I didn't really get a chance to talk about yet was I'm really proud of my work as the vice chair of the tourism committee to move away from tourism marketing and more towards tourism management. So HB 953 turned into a state-run website to reserve campgrounds, to reserve hikes. So for all state parks and state reservation systems, you can now visit this website. Next. I think we have a better picture of the website here. It's outdoor.hawaii.gov. And I think that's all I've got for you. Is there one more? Next. Nope, that's it. Okay.
Okay, mahalo. Any urgent questions for Natalia? Online? Okay, mahalo. Representative Scott Matayoshi.
Somebody with their hand up.
Tara Rojas, quickly, please.
Aloha. Yeah, I just wanted to say I had another comment previous, but so a quick one. That's awesome, that you presented about the HICO, and I just heard your role in the tourism as well. I just wanted to know if when you found out the information from HICO for the conservation to avoid the rolling blackouts, do you have information or did you ask or do you know if the tourism industry as well was informed of it and to conserve energy? Because it always seems to be the residents of the islands that are asked to conserve, but never, whether here or Maui, to take part of it when they are using a lot of our resources, especially electricity and water.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I did read in their press release that they did ask their largest users to reduce their loads as well. And I think that's how we got to our 40% lower amount. I'll double check the press release and see if it says anything about hotels specifically, but I'll check on that.
And then can I give you one more piece of information really quick?
I'm sorry, we don't have time. Thank you.
Oh,
Representative Scott Matayoshi.
You can email me if you still have questions, sorry.
Senator Jarrett Keahokalole. Senator Chris Lee. Representative Lisa Martin. Nicole Gray on behalf of Representative Jill Takuda. Okay, reports from members who had, I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Nicole with
Go ahead.
Takuda's office. Yeah, sorry. I have just a quick update for everyone, and the written report was emailed to you this morning. So we have the 1-year anniversary of the Maui wildfires this month, and Rep. Takuda continues to support recovery efforts. She introduced the Lahaina National Heritage Area Act that would establish Lahaina as a historic site. If approved, designation as a national heritage area would bring additional federal funding for cultural and environmental preservation. As the co-chair of the bipartisan Rural Healthcare or Health Caucus, Rep. Tokuda has been visiting several health centers throughout the district and has convened talk story sessions across the state to discuss solutions to the healthcare needs of rural communities and how to support the healthcare workforce. Our office is now receiving applications from those who are interested in seeking a nomination to a military service academy. For more information on that, you can go to our website and I will drop a link in the chat box. And if anyone has any questions that I can take back to our office, I am more than happy to take them.
Okay, any urgent questions for Representative Tokuda tonight? Okay, mahalo, Nicole.
Thank you.
Next item, reports from members who attended other meetings. Donna Wong, Gary Weller, and I attended the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management meeting put together by Waimanalo Neighborhood Board last night. Esther Kiana already adequately described it. Any other board members have any reports from attending other meetings? Okay, next order of business is a presentation. And our normal presentation length is 10 minutes, and I am very sorry that's about all we can fit in tonight, but I appreciate your patience. Chance Corella and Danny Anthony. Danny was the recipients of one of the grants that Director Hurd discussed earlier. And we got a good primer and introduction on the issue at our last meeting. And now we're in receive mode for more information. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Good evening. Hope you guys all doing well tonight. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know it's a late night. Unfortunately, Chance Correa, who is born and raised in Kailua, lost his father this morning. And so he will not be able to join us in our presentation. I did want to share that the reason that we're all here in Kailua, which is not where we're from, is on the behest of Chance. That he is someone that loves this place deep into his core and has motivated his friends to come out of the bushes to help to inspire this community. The reality, folks, and I feel very fortunate to have spent some time with Director Hurd in the back there. But I'd like to make a suggestion. I think you should put the politicians at the end of the meeting and the community first, because I really feel like servant leadership is listening to your community. And one of the things we need to have happen is we need the support of our leaders to not bend the rules, but change the rules so that we can speed up the process to fight these invasive species that are readily knocking at our door. I'm sure you guys from last month have heard a little bit about coconut rhinoceros beetle and its encroachment to Kailua. It's coming around through Waimanalo, and it is hitting Kahalu'u on its way from the north side. This beetle works 24 hours a day. It is mainly, it thrives off of smell. It loves the smell of fresh cut coconuts, coconut mulch. And what it will do is it will bore into your coconut tree. And by the time you notice it, it's too late. Some of the not proven remedies include chemical castration of the tree, which these types of chemicals leave the tree unable to produce fruit or seed for the community. In fact, if you follow the instructions on the label, you are supposed to remove all the fruits and flowers. Because remember that the trees, the coconut trees, are some of the last habitat for our bees. And this is really important when you think of all the chemicals that are used in our community. Coconuts are the one thing that primarily has been chemical free. And it is important because as a culture that is sustained from coconuts, we need to ensure that the coconuts are safe for our children and future generations to drink. So we have included in our presentation to you guys, we sent you our Department of Agriculture, our entire proposal that was awarded, but has yet to actually be, contracts have yet to be signed and funded. And it's frustrating as a passionate community that is wanting immediate action to fight against this, to be caught within the political red tape. Normally, we just have to suffer with it. You're building a house, you got to wait for a permit, but these beetles are rapidly encroaching in our community. And all of the institutions that have been fighting it do not have an answer. Even the chemicals that they're using, they're saying that these chemicals have not been proven, but is the best and most effective for what they feel is necessary. Now, I want to say that none of our current agriculture institutions have a value system or a culture that comes before their institution. And I think in Hawaii, there are certain things that are paramount. First of all, no Hawaiians would have made it here without the coconut. Secondly, there is no independent Pacific nation that is sustainable without the coconut. It provides not just food and water. In fact, every mature coconut tree represents 2 weeks of food and water. That 1 million fully producing coconut trees on Oahu would insulate us greater than all the food storage that the state of Hawaii has. I recently became aware that LA only has 3 days worth of food. If LA has 3 days worth of food and all of our food is imported from California, how the heck we get 2 weeks? Kailua brought with me Nathan Kamahele and Alex Mango Freeman. Alex is a tree climber who has firsthand experience of CRB and the devastation. He also has firsthand experience in practices that have shown to minimize the impacts of CRB. Nathan has an assortment of products that you can purchase, such as netting, UV lights, different types of pheromones and traps that in conjunction with spray deterrents. And when I say spray deterrents, something as simple as spraying basil in your tree, neem oil, peppermint, changes the smell of the tree. If any of you have seen the CRB, the horn is not a penis. It is a scent gland, and it has a very large scent gland. Now, I want to emphasize this. There's a tiny little borer beetle that when you cut a mango tree, within 2 weeks, every beetle within 5 miles is at that tree. That these beetles have very sophisticated abilities to smell their food. And that by camouflaging this and using it in conjunction with the trap, make the traps more effective. Kailua, you got to work together. If you have a chance, read our grant. What we'd like to do in Kahalu'u is we're going to geotag every tree in our community. We're going to put a QR code on the tree, which we will be able to input where the coconuts go, where the mulch goes, and if the tree has been infected with CRB. Some of the other solutions that we need your help with is to pressure DOA and the governor's office to sign an emergency proclamation, because one of the most effective measures on contaminated trees is to cut them down and burn them. I can tell you as a farmer, unless you're lighting an emu, any type of open fire will immediately get you the fire department and violations. This is a solution that, you know, this emergency mandate only lasts, 140 days or something. I mean, it has a shelf life. So we're not asking for this an open end of burning, but in places like Kahana and other areas that are state lands that do have communities working in them, there is no way without support that we are going to fight this unless we have very basic, simple tools. These tools, unfortunately, are caught up in political red tape. And we know that something as simple as having neighborhood boards get together to voice their concern and urgency. I want to share with you guys this. 1.5 years, I met with Sharon Hurd. Bless her heart, she has done more than her predecessor, but has not been at a pace faster than the beetle. That we need to influence, particularly the Department of Ag, to influence the other leaders to step up the pace of this fight. I am not sure if you folks have quantified what the value of your coconut trees are. in Kailua, but it's in the tens of millions of dollars. And the loss of coconuts in your landscape will change Kailua as it has never looked before. Yeah, and I don't want to be back here in 2 years being, oh shit, you guys, we should have done something. Like, we have to do it now. If you have a coconut tree, you need to do more than just watch it. And if you can't afford to do something about it, then we need to plead to our elected officials that the funding, that the support comes quicker. You know, they did a grant. The grant came out in June. I just got my award letter here tonight. That's 3 months on something that everyone can say is rapidly affecting our community. As a community member, I'm telling you that this is not fast enough. Nathan, would you like to share anything? Alex, would you like to share anything? Please.
Thank you, Uncle Daniel. Bank Freeman here, speaking on our beloved new. Thank you guys for staying. Who here lives in Kailua? Out of people that are still here? Right. Okay. Who's your coconut man? You are? Okay. I think you guys need to identify who your coconut man is right now in Kailua. The one that I knew that smashed Kailua hard, he moved. His name was Hans. Okay, what are the best trees in Kailua to eat coconut? What's your best varieties? Anybody know? Okay, gotta identify those varieties. Who's eating? Who's letting their trees seed? How many of these trees in Kailua have coconuts on them? Very few, yeah? Very few. Who's letting their trees seed? Okay, we need to let the varieties that we want to keep alive seed. You guys need to create your own seed bank. Where can the community dump their coconut debris right now? Besides or dump. Okay, we need to identify a strategic mulch management location for these debris. Are the coconut trimmings useful? All these debris from all you guys' coconuts, are they useful? Or is it just opala? It is. It's very useful. Because like Uncle Daniel was saying, this is what we can use to lure the beetle to these strategic locations that we identified. So consolidate all coconut green waste separately. I heard earlier, I think everybody came to tell you guys how shitty those 10 acres are in Palahel. Maybe that could be a place to use, you know? Do people have access to fresh coconut to eat? If I wanted to buy a coconut in Kailua, a fresh coconut that's safe to drink, that I know is not poisoned, where could I buy one? From who? Okay. So a permanent coconut stand in Kailua town for the coconut man. You guys want to save the trees? You got to know your coconut man. Give him an opportunity to make a living and help you guys identify the trees that are worth saving, create a seed bank, use your green waste, identify the strategic locations that are going to be used for coconut mulch management. Because I don't want to come here unless I'm drinking, eating, picking coconuts. Because my saws are sharp. I got choke chain, choke files, and I'm ready to come here, cut down your guys' trees. But I don't like it. I'd rather come and eat your guys' coconuts. Thank you.
This has been incredibly informative. We've gone 14 minutes. Gary Weller. Gary Weller is chairman of our Community and Government Engagement Committee. Could you two get together? Because I think things like emergency proclamation for burning coconut trees in response to this crisis, or the 140 days allowed, that makes great sense. Let's see if we might consider in our committee and get it up to the board next month, some kind of resolution in support of that and some of the other things that you propose. I would like your thoughts and recommendations to go directly into our Community and Government Engagement Committee so we can try to take some action on this at our next meeting. I apologize we didn't have more time tonight.
If I could just finish with this, gentlemen, you are the two guys that I'm actually looking for. The military, unfortunately, the CRB came in with the Navy. What we need is we need your hands to help our community that is literally our food security is at risk. And this is one of those times when we need to not battle, but work together. Yeah, this CRB is the worst warrior, is like a terrorist among terrorists. Yeah, that is here in our homelands. And what we need is we need our armed forces to stand with our farmers and with our community. So if I can get your contact information, I believe that you guys are equally a part of the solution, and that anytime we try to blame someone, we are not taking responsibility for actions that we should have made. So I want to do that olive branch, and I want to work with you guys to help save Kailua. You guys are here. You love Kailua. So thank you. I'm going to connect with this gentleman. I appreciate you guys' time. You know, you guys, I came in my model because the last time I had to come in my model, we legalized traditional point making after a 100-year prohibition. And I feel like we are in the same state. And I am dressed like this to scar your memory that there was a guy that showed up in a model to stand for the coconut trees. And I hope tonight that you have a dream that inspires you, that gives you an idea that affects change. Thank you.
Okay, we're not done with the issue. We will move forward. Next item is an individual motion. The Kailua Neighborhood Board will co-host the annual Kailua Emergency Preparedness Fair on Saturday, September 7th between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. at Kailua Town Center. Would anyone like to make this motion? Kara Miyashiro, is there a second? David
Second.
Leah, is there any discussion? Okay, we need to do a roll call vote because we're not sure who's here. Call for the motion. Josiah Akau? Yes. Travis Council? Yes. Camper Granite? Kellyanne Kobayashi? Check chat. David Laia? Yes. Jade Lau? Yes, from Kellyanne Kobayashi. Jade Lau? Mike Lee?
Yes.
Yes. Lavani Lipton? Carol Miyashiro? Yes. Kiala Morel? Kate Ryder? Claudine Tomasa?
Yes.
Yes. Steve Trecker? Evan Weber? Yes. Gary Weller? Yes. John White? Donna Wong? Yes. Jeff Suckernick? Yes. Chair votes yes. All right, motion passes unanimously with 12 votes. Approval of minutes for July 11th. Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes? Online? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Committee reports. Would any chair like to amplify their reports? There is one addition for Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee. The August 20th agenda is amended to add SMA EA presentations for 12 Kailua Road and 275 Kaeli Pulu Drive. Any other reports from committee chairs? Mahalo. Any committee membership changes? No. Chair's report, committee agendas for September are due by Sunday, August 25th. The meeting is adjourned at 9:59. Mahalo.